Okay, I call this meeting to order. Roll call.
Barkley,
Here.
Bates,
Here.
Kimbrell,
Here.
Patterson.
Here.
Rusterholz, here. We have it.
Okay, if everyone could please stand and move your bonnets for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
America, we love you.
You're not.
We can now take a moment of silence, and I will read this. We, the people of Colorado, with profound reverence for the supreme ruler of the universe, in order to form a more independent and perfect government, establish justice, ensure tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare and security, the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the state of Colorado. Thank you. The purpose of this meeting is to go into executive session pursuant to CRS 24-6-402 4 F and B for the purpose of discussing the superintendent's contract and legal advice. Do I have a motion?
I move to adjourn the meeting, go into executive session.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, motion passes.
I have,
Roll call.
I have some, item
Roll
of
call,
discussion.
though. You want to discuss first? Go
I
ahead.
do, I have an item of discussion I'd like to have. It may be just me, but I just had needed some clarification for tonight's meeting. I'd like to know what this board's plan is for moving forward with the process of hiring our superintendent. So if you could answer that for me, what is the process? What are we exactly doing in executive session, and what are we doing when we come out tonight?
Well, as I said a bit ago, it's for the purpose of discussing the superintendent's contract and legal advice is needed.
Well, I have a question about that too, because at the last meeting, when I asked for clarification on what the purpose for tonight was, we talked about also looking into the possibility of doing a full superintendent search. And you just kind of going through board policy, it seems like, we have some things as a board we need to do administratively before we can move forward with extending a new contract for Mr. Witt.
There was discussion about the possibility of doing a search. At the time I commented that, one person can't go do that alone. What people do with their own time is up to them. But there was enough interest in potentially renewing Mr. Witt's contract that the next step would be to go into executive session and discuss this contract and see if it's something everyone is able to agree to.
No.
Enough interest from
This board.
When was that discussed?
What about the community?
And you just said at this board.
Folks, you're welcome to sit and listen, but you're not allowed to comment.
Mr. President, may I speak?
Yes,
Isn't that the purpose of the executive session, to discuss this as a board? What you had said and what you had said, that is the purpose of us going into executive session. It is personnel. Personnel, if I understand, has to be discussed in an executive session.
Well, I agree. My only issue is that it says to discuss the contract as opposed to discussing whether or not we're going to
Other
look
option.
for a new contract, or if we're going to discuss looking for other.
Qualified
May
May I
candidates.
point out one process?
Yes.
If you discuss a contract in today's executive session and you come out, you have an action item
Use the
where you will vote whether or not to
Yeah, no
extend
kidding.
an offer of a contract. If you vote no, clearly the next step is a search. If you vote yes, you've obviated the need for a search.
Well, I
So
understand.
you have the agenda item to settle.
Right, but I
tonight.
also feel like we should discuss, like a performance review first.
Yes.
It is the board's duty, as stated in our bylaws, that we perform those annually. And I tried this week to find where those were conducted in this past year and weren't able to find any. So, I think before we discuss contract, we need to make sure we're doing that.
Yep.
Usually those happen in April
Go
or
ahead,
May.
say it
Well, those
loud.
happen
Well, that
in
would-
April and May because of the end of the year, so we have those
Mhm.
discussions.
Use your
in executive
microphone.
session as well.
But those are supposed to be public records, so where would those records be?
In executive session, I don't believe those are public records.
No, not the executive
review.
session stuff, but the review is to be public, and what the goals for the superintendent are.
Well, the goals, we had those listed out when we hired the superintendent as well, like what we were looking for.
Yep, I have the qualifications
I'll
here.
have to look back as far as like April and May.
So what I'm saying is until we can review the performance based on the qualifications spelled out in the job description, which is part of our job as a board, it seems a bit premature to vote on the contract or discuss the contract.
Yeah! Well, if we do that, we will have to end this meeting because the
Yes.
purpose of this meeting is to discuss a contract.
No.
Well, we could amend the agenda, or we could, there's two options.
Or you can call the vote.
Well, do we have a motion
We're in
for a vote?
discussion, but we already have first and a
I
second.
make a motion.
You have a motion and a second.
Roll call?
The motion on the table is
To go into
Enter.
executive
As
session.
is.
to go on to discuss a contract.
No.
To discuss, so so let me understand.
Well, I do know we're restricted by law that is the purpose for doing this. So if we're not going to go in there and discuss the contract, we can't discuss anything else without an amendment to the
Ask your
agenda, which
attorney.
would take a unanimous vote.
So when we go into, executive session, we are only discussing a contract. We're not voting on anything while we're in
Not
executive
in there,
session.
that would be the action item at the end of the meeting.
So if I'm clear, then we come back out here and we have further discussion around a contract, around the hiring process and all of that. Am I correct in
For
that or
Ken
not?
Witt.
Well, what would happen is, when we came out, we would entertain a motion and a second. If we have a motion and a second, there would be time for discussion.
A motion and a second for extending the contract.
Yes.
No.
Okay, I move, we've got a motion on the table.
Okay,
Call the question.
Called question.
this is a motion to go into executive session. Barclay,
No.
Bates,
Yes.
Kimbrell,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Rusterholz, yes.
Thank you,
We
Keegan.
do not have we need a unanimous decision, correct?
No, you did
We're
not.
in executive session.
Oh, okay. Well, then the motion passes and we'll go into executive session. At this time, we've already had the motion and agreed, and we'll excuse ourselves.
We do not want Witt.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going into,
You need to invite.
I'm sorry, Mr. Miller, you'll be able to attend to this, you're invited.
Yes, sir, thank you.
We will be going into executive session. I don't know how long this is going to last, but there will be an action item when we're done.
Oh. Yeah, they'll have her.
Keep
on walking, dude.
I mean, if you guys already know what you're gonna do, I don't know why you even go into
Yeah.
the
Why does
executive
he
session.
go
You
in
just said that you're gonna. come
Yeah,
out
why
with
does he
action
go
items.
in to discuss his contract?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Why is he in there?
Why is he in there? Oh.
Have fun, guys.
We have a process.
Okay, we are to the action portion. Do I have any motions?
I make a motion to accept the contract renewal.
We don't have everyone here.
You haven't read it.
Yeah, you have.
Don't you have to read it?
Suzanne doesn't know.
You can take a bio break if you need.
No, I'm fine.
Oh, I mean, if you need the 5 minutes because someone else is gone.
Well, what is he doing then?
I can't tell you.
Okay.
Not now.
Yes. Everyone else turn the mics back on.
Are we allowed to hear the contract? Are parents, can we hear it?
No, we won't be discussing it at this point.
So we don't know how long you're keeping him or anything?
What are you voting on?
Yeah, this is ridiculous.
Do I have a motion?
No.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are not allowed to speak, and should you decide to, we will clear the room. Thank you.
What are you asking for a motion on?
She already made the motion.
I asked if we had a motion after that meeting.
I
Sue,
make a
you'll
motion
repeat.
to extend Superintendent Witt's contract.
As documented in the meeting,
My second.
as drafted in the meeting.
As drafted in the meeting, correct.
I have a motion and a second. Roll call?
No,
discussion.
Sorry, discussion.
Can you go through that with my slide?
So I don't think we are ready to actually vote on this item. The way the agenda was written, it really limited our ability to discuss anything in that meeting. Having only just received the contract, I would like time to look it over and see what it actually says and understand what it says. I know nobody else had the contract ahead of time either, and so I think it's premature of us to vote at this time.
Other?
I've had the contract, not this one prior, but the ones, is mine even working? No.
It's not on.
It's on.
Works for me.
So, but there's only a few changes, which are some of the dates. Also, there's communication plan that we've been asking for, increase, and there's like minor stuff. So did you not get the contract prior to even like his
Nope.
old one? Or
I
did you
got the
not look at
contract
it?
right there when we got in the meeting.
I didn't get the contract either until we.
You had the old one prior.
I had the
though.
old.
But we're voting
Yeah,
on,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
there's a motion to accept the new contract, so having the old contract is not pertinent.
Well, it's pretty much like the same thing.
But
except
I
for-
haven't, I
So we
have
will
not
have dates
had,
that are changes and.
we just,
I mean, for the dates that have changed, the communication plan that's highlighted here.
you're just looking through it right now as well, like, why don't we
We were
just wait?
looking, while we looked through it, just like in the room too.
Yeah, I think that's
These
not
are
enough
kids'
time.
futures.
Yes.
This is ridiculous.
You need to go.
What
Come on.
I would like to, as soon as everybody's done,
Get it
ladies.
together. Get it together, guys.
I would like to propose that we have another meeting, schedule another meeting after we have gone through the contract, I don't think that time is of the terrible essence here. I think I would like to be able to look at this contract, and I would like to have a time of discussion where we can discuss how do we want to proceed. I mean, last week I talked about, I like what Ken did. But I would like to have a public conversation of where do we go from here? What process are we going to take? And so, that is what I would like to have as a public conversation. And so that's what I would like to propose. Rescheduling this, having public conversation amongst the board members of how we want to proceed, and then after we've had time to look at this contract, then discuss that contract as well.
You could schedule a work session to discuss that, kind of go through what our priorities are as a board, where we see as the future for the district, and then make sure that what we set forth as duties for the next superintendent, whether that's Mr. Witt or someone else, that they are in alignment with those goals that we set.
So I put the motion on the table.
You're supposed to represent everyone.
I'm going to call for a 2-minute break. I'd like to speak with our
Attorney? I'm sure you will.
And we'll reconvene.
Oh, when you're ready, you can call the roll call. She wrote in first, so don't forget, you have to call the roll call.
So we were in a 2-minute break?
2 minutes.
And here goes $2,000.
Never dull and boring, is it?
Myself, a bottom of the cup, asking me wine. Yeah, I think I made the note, you'll have to.
We will reconvene the meeting. Okay, we have a motion and a second. We have a motion and a second on the table. Any further discussion?
Can you repeat the motion, please?
You want to repeat the motion?
I make a motion to accept the contract to further the employment with Superintendent Witt.
To accept contract.
Any other questions?
And just one last comment, that I think it's irresponsible of us to accept it without doing more thorough research into it, reading it through, and making sure we understand exactly what it says.
I would like to say that although I do want to rehire Ken Witt, I like the things that he's done, I think that to do due diligence, I need to be able to look at, I'm familiar with the old contract, I'm in favor of, I want to be able to look over it, and I would like to have a discussion at another meeting, as I said before, in order for me to be able to go forward and vote with it in favor of it.
Okay. Any other further discussion? Roll call.
Barclay.
Nay.
Bates.
Aye.
Kimbrell.
Aye.
Patterson.
Aye.
Rusterholz. No.
Okay, meeting's adjourned.
You need a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn the meeting.
Did they pass it?
Second?
Yeah.
Okay, meeting is adjourned.
Roll call.
You got a roll call.
Barclay.
Aye.
Bates.
Aye.
Kimbrell.
Aye.
Patterson.
Aye.
Rusterholz. Aye.
You guys are adjourned.
Thank you.